Hello, students. This is Ms. Fenderson, of course. I would like to introduce you all to one of our local officials, and she's going to tell you who she is and what she does.
Hello, I'm Traci L. Johnson, the Circuit Court Clerk for Northampton County, and I'm glad to be here in an interview with you all.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. We would like to know some of your responsibilities as Clerk of Court.
Well, there are a lot, but as the Clerk of Court, I'm an elected official and elected by the people in Northampton County for a term of 8 years. And some of my duties include the custody and safekeeping, proper indexing of legal documents, civil and criminal. I also record deeds and land records, judgments, marriages, divorces, DD 214s, which is the military discharge paper. And I swear people into office that have been elected in other offices, among many other things.
My students have learned that Northampton County, Virginia has the oldest continuous court records in the United States. Could you just tell us a little bit about that before we get into some other things?
We do. We have the oldest continuous, being the key word, records in this country. And our records go back and are continuous from 1632 through today. And other courts, there are courts in St. Augustine, Florida that have older records, but they're not continuous. So for whatever reason, during the Civil War, all courts were summoned to send their records to Richmond for safekeeping. And for many years, I didn't know the actual reason why we didn't send ours. There was all these skeptical reasons that we didn't, but the truth came out that our records weren't at risk of being burned. We were very lucky in that aspect, but also it wouldn't have been easy to get them to Richmond because of the quantity of them and the fact that we're separated by water. So they would have to have been loaded on a boat and gone. And then what happened to Richmond? Yes, all of Richmond was burned. So that created a gap in other courts' records.
I just think that's fascinating, and it always, is enlightening to our students to learn that we have such an important part of history here on the shore. So how did you become involved in the court system? How did you decide to be the clerk of court and run for that office?
Well, I was going into the legal field, and I got a part-time job in this office in 1993. And I have stayed and became a deputy. And I was chief deputy in 2002 when my boss got sick. He had a cerebral aneurysm and was not able to come back to work. So overnight, I became the acting clerk, and then I had to run in a special election. And I was scared to death. I was, but I loved my job. And what I found out was I loved campaigning too. And that's not something you grow up learning about, but it was a lot of fun. And, all the people that I met and went door to door were the very people that were voting for me. And so I learned that I loved campaigning, and that helped a whole lot. The fear went away probably within the first month, but I still had an office to run and the campaigning to do. So I was so excited to have won and in each time. So I'm the only office in this country that has an 8-year term. Even the president only has a 4-year term. So that's kind of cool too, but it takes 8 years to be able to do what we do. It's a lot of record keeping, and all aspects of a person's life are kind of recorded here, aside from birth certificates. So we like the 8-year term, and there's 120 of us in the state. So city clerks, like the city of Virginia Beach and the city of Richmond and city of Fairfax, Those city clerks tend to be larger county or larger localities, and they run the opposite 4 years of those of us in the smaller counties. So not every clerk could be replaced throughout the state in the same year.
Well, I really didn't know that. I actually learned something new just now. I mean, I think that's really awesome. And just like what some of the things you talked about earlier, before I get to some of the other questions, when one is doing research about their family history or historical events, how can they access that how can they access the records in Northampton County?
It used to be that you could just walk in and use the record room. COVID has changed our procedures a little bit. So you have to call and make an appointment. And that's for safety reasons, because should someone in this office come down with COVID, we have to know who it is to contact to relay that information and to protect other people. But it's worked pretty well keeping a calendar so that people make appointments for however long they need. And we've been doubling up, and sometimes 3, but we've got to keep them spaced out. So it depends on the kind of research they're doing. If I had 3 or 4 people in here all needing to use the same books, it wouldn't work well. But some people come in doing, like, surveyors doing map research, and some people are doing historic research, and some people are doing deed research, and they're all in 3 separate areas. So that works out well. And we get you started. We don't have a staff large enough to do it for you, but we get you started, and the room is user friendly. So if you have any questions, we can help you, but we can't, come spend hours with you doing it. And it turns into hours because it's so exciting. You find one little piece and it's like a puzzle piece, and you want to go and find all the other puzzle pieces. It's a lot of fun.
I've been working on my family history, family tree for quite a while now. Just talking to relatives, looking at old records. I kind of started years ago when I was in college, but got more into it in recent years. And then one of my found relatives, of course, we've connected on Ancestry, but he's local. You probably see him a lot there, Bobby. And is definitely really fascinating. You're right. It's almost addictive because you
It
are
is.
meeting people. Wow,
And
this
it's
person.
addictive for me too, because I have so much going on in our offices here with case files and all. It's honestly a pleasure to be able to go out and help someone find a marriage license, or the first time they purchase property in this county. It's a lot of fun. Even if it's not my family, I get engrossed in other people's families. So when I meet people, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, is that my relative or yours? Or we're cousins either way you look at it. So yeah,
Yes, this is Shore. So
we're all related. That's very true.
so I think you've kind of touched on this already, but what's the most exciting part of your job? I feel like you've already told us a little bit of it, but if you want to elaborate a little bit more, you can.
When I was young and in high school, I got good grades. I enjoyed school. I took a lot of AP classes and did actually my English classes were AP classes through Salisbury State at the time. And I thought in the beginning I was, teacher or something. But all I wanted to do was help people. And I had worked in a drugstore cafe in Parksley for years and years and years, and I loved it. So in keeping with that, I just wanted to help people. And I had legal secretary background, and that was up in Maryland. So when I came back home, I called around to all the attorney's offices. This is back when we had a phone book. We don't have a phone book anymore. But I called all the attorneys, and I caught up with one attorney, and he said, I don't know any lawyers that are hiring, but I do know that the clerk's office is looking for someone. So I called, talked to him on the phone, came in for an interview that afternoon, and I started working the next day. You just never know.
So you never know where life's going to take you.
You don't.
But
But I get to help people every day. And sometimes it's not always a happy answer, but I get to help them understand what's going on, and that we're going to help you through each step of it. And when I go home at night, I know that I have done the best that I could to help people. Might not have all the paperwork done on my desk, but I know that I finished that phone call or helped that person that came in, and that there's a lot of reward in that. And I also know that everyone knows how to get up with me. Nobody hesitates calling me. So we don't have voicemail on our office phone. We're the only office in the entire county that doesn't have voicemail. And that's because I want to talk to someone when they call. I don't want to spend all day checking my voicemail and having to call people back. And while I'm doing that, they're calling me. So procedurally in the office, we had to make, some decisions about how we can best help all of the public, all of Northampton County and beyond, because we partner things with other counties too. So not having voicemail was one of those simple little things that helps me to finish whatever it is that somebody needs. Little thing.
Oh, so kind of going along with, the most exciting part of your job, what have been some challenges you faced in this very important position you have?
COVID has definitely been the very top challenge we've ever had. We haven't been able to have jury trials, and that, court is in session 1 or 2 days a week. And here lately it's been 3 and 4 days a week. But we haven't been able to have jury trials because of the spacing. And we've now installed all of the plexiglass so that we can begin having jury trials. And we'll have to bring people in shifts. So that's my top challenge. Other challenges have been if there's not an answer readily available, and research has to be done, and all the while everything else in the office continues to keep going. So sometimes I feel like I can't get an answer right away, and that is frustrating. Then I get the answer, get to relay the answer and help somebody, and then the reward comes afterwards. But sometimes the power goes out, and that used to not be a big deal. There was never power in the old courthouses. They operated by daylight and candlelight. But we made the leap to become automated, to just like having this Zoom meeting right now. I mean, we never had this before. So when the power goes out, we really can't operate. I mean, we can be in here, and if the phones are working, talk on the phone, but we can't access the computers. We can't do a receipt. So that's next to COVID. Power being out is probably the worst one. And all in all, they're not the most horrible things that could happen. Things work pretty smoothly around here.
I guess you do have to definitely be organized. So I guess that's why things do work
Yeah.
smoothly,
And
because
I have an amazing staff, and they've all been with me a long time. And so we help each other out, we cover each other, and everyone answers the phone. And some days I'm in court and we've got probates going on and lunches have to happen. So some days we don't get every call that comes in. Most people call us back. And we enjoy what we do, and that helps. If you're in a job that you don't like, I can imagine it being hard to be organized. But when you're doing what you absolutely love, it's a pleasure. It's not hard to tackle the big jobs because there isn't as important as the little jobs.
that's a great philosophy. And definitely, I'm so glad to be able to talk to someone who does enjoy what they do. How many people work in the clerk's office?
I have 3 deputies.
Oh, wow. So I mean, I'm
Yes,
sure you all stay on your toes. You all are
we
definitely
do.
busy. I'm glad I emailed you rather than tried to call.
Well,
That would
again,
work pretty well.
yeah, it does. It does. Yes, email is a much kinder way to communicate sometimes. And also I can take the time to think about the response, that's good for both sides.
So I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but do you have any remarks or any like words for our young people? Any closing things you would like to tell them?
I do. My advice to students is to know that the little things often make a huge impact. Not every child was born to become the president or a doctor or a pilot or a lawyer, but every child grew up having a teacher. And teachers are the most amazing part of us growing up. So I want everybody to remember to follow their dreams, and the rest will follow. And a few things in life are free, but your dreams are priceless.
I love that. And I really do appreciate you taking time out of your enormously busy schedule to talk to our kids. I know that we actually did watch a WBOC clip from a few years back about Northampton County. You were in it, and
I
that was
know.
so that I get to hear you talk live. So I do appreciate you taking your time to do this, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon and the rest of your week.
You too. Thank you so much for thinking of me and thinking that I was an important person you wanted to interview.
You definitely are a VIP.
It made me feel really good. You're an amazing teacher too. I hope all your students know that.
I appreciate that. I hope they do.